So you all day.
Ain't no need for niggas walking around thinking it's cute. Call my man.
When slavery ends in 1865, there are no national incarceration systems. Most states didn't even have a fully functioning prison system. Guess when they created the prison system? In 1865. That's when they gave you the first statewide prison systems. Why? Because we got 2 million black folks, 4 million black folks. We just left out of slavery. They don't have jobs. We're not going to give them any, so that means they got to do what to eat and rob and steal. So we're going to create vagrancy laws. If I catch you stealing anything, guess what? That's a felony. I'm going to put you on the chain gang, and you're going to be on the chain gang for 10 years for stealing a lollipop. This is what they did. You could go to jail for not having a job. You could go to jail for being homeless. They made simple, petty offenses major felonies. So that from the beginning of so-called emancipation, the prison system existed for one reason: to remove black men from the society. The jail is a slave ship that sits on land instead of water.
If a girl says you have nice hands, it's probably because she wants you to choke her.
Realize we old timers, we grew up. If you called someone Neanderthal, that was an insult. Do you realize that the most racist scientific community ever were 19th century anthropologists? They're the ones that set up the race and this, and white male humans were at the top of the evolutionary ladder, and blacks and everybody else were lower, still evolving, closer to the apes. So watch what happens. In the 1990s, now that we can do genetic tracking and things, the world found out that Europeans are between 1% and 3% Neanderthal, and Africans are 0% Neanderthal. So in the 1990s, research papers started coming out talking about how creative and imaginative the Neanderthals must have been and how they used tools. A complete facelift of the Neanderthals.
She's emotional, she's immature, she's the emotional center of the family because she's the most emotional. And when she doesn't get her way, like a child, she throws a fit. Sometimes it looks like yelling, sometimes it looks like ranting, sometimes it looks like crying, but the goal is always manipulation and control. And then what happens is the people who are the caregivers in the family fold to it. Don't say that, mom will think this. And then the family begins putting herd pressure on you not to do anything to cause anybody to go off. So now there's a collective family pressure to participate in the dysfunction. And if you participate in the dysfunction, you are perpetuating it. There are two responses: cut off or differentiation. Cut off is where you get angry and you go independent and autonomous. I'm not talking to them, and you're angry, and you're actually carrying the effects of their dysfunction in your heart. You're just living it out a different way. And then everything you touch brings that same dysfunction, and the cycle just continues. Or you start to differentiate, and the family threatens you with cutting you off. And then that's the pain pressure they apply so that most people come back. So in that enmeshed family system, you have dysfunction, and you have a tolerance of evil. What happens here is the most dysfunctional, unhealthy person gets to set all the rules. So grandpa is a drunk, and he has an explosive anger problem. So when we get together for Christmas or Thanksgiving or birthdays or family gatherings, everyone knows to tiptoe around grandpa, because living with him is like living with a grenade that's had the pin pulled and just waiting to go off. His sin is tolerated and then promoted. Or take the weak-willed woman.
I wanted to make sure this was real before I actually posted it on my Instagram, and this is what I got. So I turned the image upside down, flipped it, and put it together, and you can clearly see the Baphomet figure, or the goat head and the horns, in the middle when you mirror these two portraits together. And it's funny that they used red, because red symbolizes low states of consciousness. It's the lowest vibrational color. It symbolizes emotion over the mind, the lower self. So let me know what you guys think. Is this a coincidence?
This is what I've been telling you the whole time. Women use good guys as bailouts for bad decisions. They have their fun in their 20s. They sleep around with all the bad boys, all the jocks, all the semi-famous dudes, all the check marks, all the rich businessmen in the area. They have experiences that they'll never forget about. I don't need no man. I'm strong and independent. Nobody's taking care of me but me till I hit 30. Now I need a bailout. I just want a nice guy. And once they're ready to settle down, when no man wants to settle with them, and they see the competition's becoming difficult, and they see that the younger chicks that are now in their 20s are getting on the boats, meanwhile she's pushing 30 plus, that's where you come in, Ted. That's where you software engineer comes in with no experience, kept your head down, busting your ass in college to get to where you are, what you're getting paid to bail a street queen out of her bad decisions. And she'll treat you nice in the beginning. Oh, the bedroom acrobatics, they're going to be great. She's going to whip out all the moves that she used to do for those men out of pure lust. She's going to do just to entrap you in a relationship. And once that's over, this is why you hear men say, and then we got married, and then the sex dried up. No shit, bro. You're the mark you got settled for. Once she put the ring on, that was game over for your ass. The leverage has completely switched in her favor. You were never the man she wanted. That's why the sex dried up. For the real dudes that settle down with a woman that really looks up to them and you're that guy, you're the quote alpha, you could label this shit whatever you want. But when you're that guy and you get married, it doesn't matter married or not.
Listen, if a nigga knock me out and I wake up and they got them phones out, I'm gonna shoot the people with the phone. Cause they go cause more damage than the nigga that knocked me out.
Single mothers oftentimes do everything but fuck their sons. And they have that emotional stability that is built within the home. A single mother is a fuckboy factory. Single women become so emotionally dependent upon their children, specifically their sons, that they will convince themselves that they don't need a man until they encounter the space from being alone to genuinely being lonely. And now we're having to deal with the imbalance that was set in the household because this boy is not your son, he is your man. When you want to cuddle, you go lay down with them. When you want some emotional time, you go watch movies with them. You touch them and you rub them and you massage them. You do these things, everything that you would do to a man to suffice that. A lot of women even dress their sons like the man that broke their heart.
This is tough.
So I think that that's the dichotomy. Like, I'm not saying that your children shouldn't have weight in your relationship, but what I am saying that we have to look at it from an integral space. Like, why do they feel this way? Especially if you're dealing with a man-child who is uncomfortable with your new partner, and this man-child is not necessarily a little boy anymore.
You don't think men and women can be friends. Why do you think that?
Because it's some type of physical attraction there.
The reason why is because women don't provide that much value to men that they think they do.
I don't.
Perfect.
Think about it. If men aren't that picky and a majority of women meet the metric, are you really as special as you think you are?
Okay.
Digest it and think for a second.
Wow.
If men's standards, they're pretty low, and the majority of women fit into these standards, are you really as special as you think you are?
Damn. Mic drop.
Misogyny.
It's too general.
Disrespect is dangerous. It's disrespect that will drive a man to the most heinous of crimes. It's disrespect that starts the school shooter bullshit. It's disrespect that makes men go to jail for life sentences. You truly disrespect a man in a public and permanent way, that's when they switch. That's why I'm so respectful in public. You don't know who the fuck you're talking to.